So today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about who exactly it is that's keeping abortion legal in this country.
You'll never guess.
All right, welcome to episode 38 of the Liberator Podcast. We're going to be talking about who's keeping abortion legal in this episode, not just in the state of Oklahoma, but in many states across the union. But before we get into that, I just want to make a note that we will be giving away an original pen and ink drawing in 2 episodes from now. This is William Wilberforce. It's for an upcoming series that I'm doing, Liberator Lessons. I'm going to be doing some podcasts that just sort of like look at historical figures and events and see what we can learn from them.
It's going to be sweet.
It's going to be really good. Yeah. That's a really annoying thing that the incrementalists have done is try to claim Wilberforce. It's something he would be very upset with because he explicitly states, right, over and over and over in his writings, I am an immediate abolitionist and the gradual abolitionists are fighting me every step of the way, and he makes it so clear. And we're going to make that very clear. Russell's going to do that as we've done a little bit in recent podcasts and articles, but Russell's just going to
We hope to put it to bed is what we're saying.
We hope to be upset on his behalf.
Yeah, we hope that nobody anywhere can get away with saying that Wilberforce would have been the kind of guy who voted against bills of abolition.
Right. So make sure you're subscribing, make sure you've liked, and then become a monthly donor if you want to enter the drawing to win that piece of art there.
Drawing for a drawing. It's $25 a month or more, and you get put in this basket here, and you have a chance of winning.
Yep, so pretty easy. Also, we're going to be doing another drawing when we reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We are going to give away Free the States gear. I don't think we've decided what we're going to give away, but we'll do that in the next episode. But we'll be giving away sort of a gift card or free shirts or a sign or something to a subscriber. So make sure that you're not just watching the Liberator Podcast, but you're also subscribing so you're getting the alerts and we're able to reach you more easily. So all that to the side, we've got a lot of facts to get into and a lot of analysis because according to the news, the pro-life movement is yet again winning.
And
life is winning.
According to pro-lifers themselves, they like to say that.
Yeah.
We are winning.
We're winning.
That's what they
There's
say.
an unprecedented surge for life across the country, and babies' lives are being saved by a bunch of pro-life legislation.
Yeah, if you've been following the pro-life blogs or the Christian publications, it's been pretty commonly reported recently. One headline said, "Life is winning. Over 500 bills have been introduced, 61 new laws enacted in 2021." And so one of the things that we saw very clearly here in Oklahoma is that there's a reason that so many pro-life laws were introduced, so many pro-life laws were passed. On the day that they killed the bill to abolish abortion in Oklahoma, in the Health and Human Services Committee, they passed 6 pro-life bills out of the exact same committee on the same day. Right? That's not a coincidence. That's a ridiculous amount of bills to pass on one day on the same subject. The reason is those bills are what saved the careers of the pro-life politicians who keep abortion legal, who vote not to abolish it.
Because the news would have to cover Oklahoma Republican pro-life legislature kills bill to abolish abortion. Instead of doing that, they can cover pass all these pro-life bills, and then they can run, which is so freaking annoying, but they can run footage of a bunch of abolitionists there to support Senate Bill 495 at the same time as talking about the passage of these pro-life bills. And of course, we've talked about it before, but they're saving face. But it's not just happening in Oklahoma, it's happening elsewhere in the country.
Right.
And I'm kind of excited because with 61 new laws being passed, this time next year, we can say, so how many lives were saved? We can look at it. I think that 5,000 babies will still be crying out freaking loud, murdered in Oklahoma next year, regardless of the passage of these bills, regardless of Kevin Stitt signing them. and that the whole point of these bills being passed was not to protect lives, but to protect the pro-life industry. So we'll get into that.
Right. And so through the rest of this episode, we're going to go through all the abolition bills that have been introduced so far in 2021, and we're going to begin with the 3 that are still alive. So not all of them have been killed yet. 3 are still alive. And so the first one is House Bill 158 in North Carolina. Now, this is a bill sponsored by Larry Pittman, who's the primary author, and then there's also Mark Brody, James Adams, George Cleveland, and Keith Kidwell. Now, there's an interesting thing about this bill. It's not written in the same way as a lot of abolition bills are, because this is a state that has a Democratic governor.
Yep.
And so you don't have someone with any hope of signing this bill, and so you kind of got to do an end run around the governor. And so it's actually a bill to amend the North Carolina state constitution. And so you've talked to the author a bit about this bill, right?
Yeah, because at first that's not our preferred. It's not our preferred way. We think the legislators should write laws against abortion. But whenever there's something like, if they even passed one, it was going to get, vetoed.
Right.
This is, so when we first heard about this, we're kind of like, yeah, well, we want to be on board or not on board. So we talked to the sponsors of the bill, and Larry Pittman seemed like a great guy, seemed to understand abortion is murder. It should be treated as murder. Seemed to understand that Roe v. Wade was an unjust, unconstitutional ruling, that it should not be complied with, but defied. So even though this is the first sort of abolition bill to be a constitutional amendment to put before the people, it is in and of itself still meeting the requirements of an abolitionist piece of legislation. So, yeah, and I think we love the guys, the Abolish Abortion North Carolina, abolishabortionnc.org.
.com.
Oh, .com.
Yep.
They're .com.
Yeah. Go check out their website. They're doing some really good stuff. They bought 1,000 of our pamphlet, and they printed off like 15,000 of these little flyers promoting HB 158. And they're just traversing the state, getting this lit out to churches and other anti-abortion organizations. And so they're doing some really good work. If you know anyone in North Carolina, connect them with these guys for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not the easiest place to do it too. I've done outreach in Raleigh before, and it's a nasty place. As far as
you want to hear a fact about Raleigh?
My friend was punched there.
Your friend was punched there?
No, Austin Beigel.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Former coworker Austin Beigel. He left with me. Created Equal, and
he was on Fox News for that punch.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. So Raleigh has got a long history of being anti-abolitionist. William Lloyd Garrison was going to be coming there to speak at some point, and so they had they assembled a grand jury and they indicted him. And if Garrison ever entered North Carolina, he could be arrested and tried. And they were like literal wanted posters that were out in North Carolina, just in case William Lloyd Garrison showed up to say that black people were created in the image of God and slavery was a sin. So yeah, North Carolina, fun place. I'm going there.
Yep, you're gonna be speaking.
Yeah, May 22nd through the 26th, they're having, I don't know, is it just called Abolish Abortion North Carolina? Is that the conference title?
I don't know the name of the conference, but
that's what it's about.
Yep, you can get info at the website, abolishabortionnc.com.
Callie, Pastor Callie from Texas will be there. Rusty Thomas will be there. And then Larry Pittman will be speaking along with Wayne and David and some other folks.
Yep, Rusty Thomas and some other people. Yeah,
so it is going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to heading back there. I hope that there's not a grand jury indictment.
Yeah.
But then again, we were stirring it up pretty well. So that's North Carolina. Before we go through the rest of them, just for people who are watching, I thought it might be good to kind of go. We're going to be talking about North Carolina, Alaska, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, Arizona, Idaho in this episode.
Yep.
So we're not going to be able to spend a heck of a lot of time on all of them.
Yep.
We're going to get to those things.
Yep. So next up is Alaska. It's HB 206, and it's authored by Chris Kirka and David Eastman. It's assigned to the House Judiciary Committee chaired by Matt Clayman. We're also going to be putting the people you need to contact just so we can get these bills passed and heard and all of that. And the person you're going to want to contact for this is Matt Clayman. I'll put his number up on the screen here.
Actually, we should say North Carolina. We forgot to do that.
Yeah, we did.
Ted Davis is the Judiciary Committee chair in North Carolina. He's a Republican. He ought to give HB 158 a hearing. Sometimes there's behind the scenes pressures not to do this. The only way to counteract that is if everybody contacts Ted Davis. Here's his phone number. Here's his email. Pause the program if you want to, and says, "Hey, bud, you need to hear HB 158. You need to let that pass out of committee."
Yep.
So back to Alaska.
Yes, the Alaska situation is a bit different. So in North Carolina, the chair is a pro-life Republican. In Alaska, this chair, Matt Clayman, is actually a Democrat. Alaska has a weird system where even though Republicans have the majority, Democrats can chair committees. And so this one's going to face more of an uphill battle than a bill will in most states. But we still need to contact him. Sam will put his number up there in post.
Yeah.
And we need to blow up this guy's phone. Make sure that even if he's going to kill it,
we need to give
know
him
there's
a lot
cost.
of notifications, not blow up his phone per se.
Yeah.
we're not the John Browns or anything like
Idiots
that,
on the internet. That doesn't mean we want to blow up his phone.
we're against blowing up phones.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if in all instances, but in this instance, we are against blowing
Maybe
up
your
his
own phone.
Yeah. So if your phone is causing you to sin, blow it up.
Yeah.
I think that's like
in a safe and controlled environment.
Yeah. But I do want to say, I know David Eastman is a good guy. He's been pretty faithful to the abolition cause for a number of years now. And Chris Kirka has become more involved. And so...
Yep, he's a freshman, just got elected this year. So
yeah,
it's exciting.
So we're excited about them and that they're sort of building a little abolition coalition up there. Now, recently in South Carolina, there was a recent rally for the bill. Is the bill H4046?
4046.
Yeah. So this bill is it just sitting in the House Judiciary Committee?
Yeah. So it's pending, waiting to be heard in committee.
And we don't really know. We're not as involved in what's going on in South Carolina, so I don't really know much. Do you know much about Chris Murphy?
So the chair of the committee is a guy named Chris Murphy. He is a Republican, pro-life guy. So notify his phone as well. Number here.
Notify.
Email here.
Yeah.
This is a bill. South Carolina, kind of like Oklahoma, it operates in 2-year cycles. And so this bill, if it's not heard, it'll still be alive into next year. And so stay on this guy. Make sure all your South Carolina friends are emailing this guy as well. Let's get this thing passed. The South Carolina bill, it has a sentence that I really like in it. It has a part about not just dealing with ignoring the federal courts, but it has a clause in it saying that if any state judge or justice rules against the right to life, then they can be impeached. And so I really like that. That's kind of a new feature of that abolition bill that I think I would like to see in abolition bills going forward. It's really good.
Yeah, I think it'll be one that we cut and paste into other bills.
Yep. So that's a good bill. Good guy, Jonathan Hill. Be praying for him. Emailing that chair like crazy. So.
Yeah.
All right, so on to Oklahoma.
Yeah, so now we are into the portion of this episode where we're going to go through the bills that have been killed, and we're going to go through who killed them.
Yeah.
And so here in Oklahoma, we have a pro-life supermajority in the House, in the Senate. Every single statewide elected office is held by pro-life Republicans.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Right, and so clearly we just need to go after the pro-choicers and criticize Democrats, and that's how we abolish abortion, right?
Yeah, don't infight or fart with your friends.
Don't infart.
don't fart with your friends.
Oh man, I actually kind of like it. Should we keep going? Yeah, keep going. That was good.
Yeah. For everyone watching that, we're like, why didn't you cut that? Because that's just the way Sam is.
Don't fart with your friends.
And we thought that we would just leave it in there.
That was a genuine mistake, but it just shows you the inner workings of my mind.
Whenever you think about pro-life legislators in Oklahoma, you just go fart.
Yeah.
You can't get it out of your mind.
Yeah.
I want to float, if you will, a bit of a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. We always are welcome.
I'm putting this out there as I'm beginning to think that this is going on and this is part of our problem.
Is the alien abduction thing?
It's aliens. I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's no. Okay. I want to say this not because I know it or anything. I just want to put it on the table so people can be looking to see whether there is something. Okay, because we often talk about Greg Treat, Greg McCourtney, Kim David, Rob Standridge, Nathan Dom, different people that we like. We see them either do things or not do things, and we can literally say, hey, these 10 people voted against a bill. We know they're bad. They did the bad thing on this deal.
Yep.
But I'm starting as I think about why in the world, when you have a massively pro-life, anti-abortion population, and you have all the principal players and powers being anti-abortion, why is it that Oklahoma, it's just like so darn hard to pass a bill of abolition? And I think about all the behind the scenes stuff. And I've been watching Greg Treat now for 4 years. And what he does is so inconsistent with what he ran on. And I think someone can, end up being compromised by politics or whatever. But the way he's sort of like, looks like he's almost like throwing himself on a sword. Like he's almost like, I've got to get up and be anti-nullification. I've got to get up and be anti this bill to abolish abortion. It looks like he has to do it. Okay. So this isn't to absolve him in any way, but just to float it out there in the face of a lot of fans of Kevin Stitt, because he's the pro-life governor of Oklahoma. He ran against the first abolitionist governor candidate, Dan Fisher, and running, he said he would sign every pro-life bill that fell on his desk. Sometimes maybe every anti-abortion bill. Now, he made that promise during a time when lots of people were calling for an abolition bill. And after he was governor, we've had massive rallies. We've had thousands and thousands of people constantly agitating for abolition. And the pro tem of the Senate is like doing everything he can to keep that bill from going forward.
Yeah.
We talk about behind the scenes stuff that's going on, and I just want to float it out there. Is Kevin Stitt using his office, the office of the governor, to say, Greg Treat, do not let a bill of abolition fall on my desk?
Yeah. Or even be placed there.
Yeah, don't let that. Yes, fart. Like, do not let a bill of abolition come to my desk where I have to prove whether or not I am for or against abolition.
Yeah.
Don't know if he's doing that, but I will tell you one thing that we do know, and we're just going to put him on notice. Kevin Stitt is not doing a single darn thing to call for a bill of abolition, to call for nullification of Roe v. Wade, to lead the state to be the first abolitionist state. And he has a tremendous opportunity to do that.
Yep.
And he's basically blown his power and his opportunity the last couple of years.
Right.
So that's going on in Oklahoma.
Yeah, we've seen Kevin Stitt do that for bills that he wants on his desk. We saw him do that for constitutional carry. He was going up and down the halls, making sure that all the Republicans were going to vote yes on that bill. We've seen him do that.
Yeah.
And so if Kevin Stitt actually detested the child sacrifice that goes on in Oklahoma, if he actually said, I'm going to be the man to put a stop to this, he could make that happen. He has more influence than Greg Treat does. If Kevin Stitt wanted that, he could pull the strings to get it done.
Oh, yeah.
But he hasn't lifted a single finger to do it, and instead he is touting himself. I think he said, I'm proud to be the most pro-life governor, as he signed one of the 5 pro-life bills that he signed a few weeks ago.
Which I think he actually knows it means anti-abolitionist. Like he's part of, like, I just don't think we should be giving him any pass or like him on anything. Like, oh, hey, it's great. He signed a Second Amendment sanctuary. He showed these nullifications. It's like, no, it's a guy willing to nullify for the Second Amendment, but not for the first. Like, I'm not willing to uphold the right to life, like first principles. That's not the First Amendment.
That's not the First Amendment at all.
Yeah. Well, you know what I'm saying. He's not the Declaration of Independence.
To nullify for the first principle of good governance.
There we go. Inalienable right to life.
Yes.
No.
He's not going to recognize and defend that or even lobby to do it.
Right.
but willing to sort of nullify for guns.
Right.
And we got guns out the wahoo. I'm glad we have guns, and I'm glad people are protecting guns. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But I wish that Kevin Stitt cared as much about preborn human beings and image bearers as he does looking politically legit.
And so that Kevin Stitt isn't the only one we go after. It's Tony Lounger of Oklahomans for Life. It's Paul Abner of Oklahoma Faith Leaders. It's the pro-life senators who voted this bill down, and it's the pro-life representatives who won't even author it. Not one of 82 Republican pro-lifers in the Oklahoma State House has put his or her name on this bill to abolish abortion. That is a very, very shameful thing in a state where the Oklahoma Republican platform itself says this bill must be given a hearing in both chambers. Not one House member has put his or her name on this bill.
Yeah.
And so it's the pro-life Republicans. That's who it is in Oklahoma.
And you get the idea that they are all basically working together on this, whether it's extremely coordinated or not. This is like the same group that kills a bill to abolish abortion, passes a bill to restrict it from seeing something you can do with a license. Like these, I'm sorry, I'm going to call them morons. These morons will pass a bill saying only doctors can perform abortions on the same flippin' day that they pass a bill saying if you perform an abortion, you're going to remove your medical license.
Yeah.
And celebrate them both and say that they're great for the cause of life. It's all politics. And the pro-life governor signs it and says, I'm proud to be pro-life, and we'll just wait and see what the courts do about this. These people know exactly what they're doing.
Yep.
And they're hoping that they fool you. And we're hoping that they don't.
Yep.
So Senate Bill 495 is dead. We should say that it is dead. It's the first abolition bill to be brought up for an official vote and killed?
Sort of, in a sense, yes. There have been motions on bills,
both
in Idaho and in Oklahoma, but I think this was the first time the abolition bill itself got the vote.
Yeah,
I think it is the first time.
So we have to just, that is progress. Like some people are like, well, are you gaining progress? No, like that is progress. Right. Uh-huh. And we have on record, people like Jessica Garvin. We know, like whenever she runs again, the guy that she beat out lost because he voted not to hear Senate Bill 13. Mm-hmm. Jessica Garvin literally had an opportunity to say the laws against murder should be applied equally to all people, and she said, hell no. And we know that. Mm-hmm. Rob Standridge, we know that. Julie Daniels, we know that. John Haste, Paul Rosino, Greg McCourtney, Frank Simpson, George Young, Carrie Hicks, Joanne Dossett. We have a record of people who have voted to keep abortion from being abolished in Oklahoma. On to Texas.
Texas, yeah. It has been said that everything's bigger in Texas, except for the brains of the legislators there. HB 3326 denied committee hearing by Representative Stephanie Click. You'll remember we had you guys call Stephanie Click not too long ago. It has been denied a committee hearing. She's the chair of the House Public Health Committee.
Right. It's really gross, and I've actually begun writing an article that I'm going to finish hopefully soon. But this new tactic that the pro-lifers have of really rallying around, especially the people who keep abortion legal. And so we saw that Jeff Leach, the man who kept abortion legal in Texas last year, was named the Courageous Champion for Life Award from Texas Alliance for Life. Mm-hmm. And this year, Stephanie Click, who's denying this bill a hearing, and Texas Right to Life is rallying around her, the hero of the children of Texas, but she's the one who's keeping abortion from being abolished. So here's what Texas Right to Life writes about Stephanie Click on their website. They say, Stephanie Click is spearheading Right to Life efforts in the state capitol in Austin. Texas can lead the nation in overturning Roe v. Wade, and all this starts with committee chairmen. These people are critical to getting life-saving bills to the House floor for a vote. Representative Stephanie Click is the first committee chair in Texas history to hold a hearing on every pro-life priority bill. As the chair of the House Committee on Public Health, Chairwoman Click presided over an 8-hour hearing during which the committee considered testimony on pro-life bills that protect the unborn as well as hospitalized patients. Here's the kicker. Last week, Chairwoman Click led the committee to pass 12 pro-life bills out of that committee to advance through the legislative process. 12 bills out of one committee in one state.
Yeah.
12. So when you hear this number about, Life is winning 500 bills, keep in mind they passed 12 out of one committee on a single day to help cover for the person keeping abortion legal.
Everything is
That's
bigger
why it's
in
500.
Texas,
including
the pro-life
charade.
malarkey. Yeah. Golly, I've read that before, but they passed 12 bills out of the committee just so they can say how much they're winning.
Yep.
And they are the same people who are like pretending. Like I see Facebook posts from Texas legislators where they're like, man, we have done everything possible. And I love the fact that there's like 40 comments on there from abolitionists. They're like, no, you are the people who are literally ignoring HB 3326.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
it's embarrassing when Oklahoma doesn't nullify the Supreme Court to abolish abortion, but it's even more embarrassing for Texas, like the Lone Star State. Nullification should be in their blood.
The come and take it state.
Yeah. And they're just giving up and they're not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
12 pro-life bills that won't do anything.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And what the end of that quote, one of these bills will ban every abortion in Texas within the next 4 years. Well, okay,
It's such a
mark
lie.
it. Let's see. The strongest pro-life bill to be passed by a House committee since the Roe v. Wade decision in 1973. Which
If this
was
is true,
Texas.
why didn't Right to Life shut down in Texas?
Yeah,
they should just shut down. It's gonna be done 4 years.
We're done.
No use to be wasting people's money.
Yeah. The reason they're actually doing this and the reason they celebrate people is because their primary thing, I don't care what you call me and say, I don't even think this is a conspiracy theorist. I think we've got this on paper. Their primary thing is preserving the pro-life cause.
Yeah.
And celebrating it and doing it for as long as it takes. I mean, I hate quoting myself redundantly.
Right.
But the key to keeping abortion legal is a never-ending delay of these 12. And it sickens me because I'm thinking...
He was reading the page. It looked like he was reading his own quote, but he wasn't.
I wasn't reading my own quote. I wasn't, sorry. Yeah, I had it. I had it
memorized.
I had it quote memorized.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, I always think, man, they've run out of bills to pass. And then they figure out how to write 12 bills and pass them. And they only get away with this because some people want to say just the pro-life industry and not the no, it's the whole pro-life movement. I'm sorry. They get away with it. They're able to pass a pro-life bill that they've already passed and get donations out of it. It's insane. And they're all the same people who kill bills of abolition.
Right. And they're able to do this because there are a lot of pro-life people out there who fund these organizations. And so we've got to reach those people. We've got to reach the friends of those people. If you have friends who donate to Texas Right to Life, tell them to stop donating to Texas Right to Life.
And
Texas Right to Life is providing this never-ending stream, right? And it's not just 12. They can write 12,000 next year. There's an infinite amount of ways you can regulate abortion. And so we've got to stop with these bills, say abolition, and only abolition. That's the only way we're ever going to achieve abolition.
Yeah. And one of the reasons people continue to give, even though they see a lot of the nonsense that happens, is because, if they're a friend of yours, it might be because you haven't drawn the line and called yourself an abolitionist and made it very clear the pro-life movement is not trying to end abortion. They're actually the ones that are keeping it legal.
Yeah.
So, it's necessary that you separate yourself and let people know to separate as well. They should be a part of this.
Yeah, pro-lifers do this sort of thing about defunding abortion. You need to defund the pro-life industry. That's one defunding bill or program that I get on board with.
Yeah.
Don't give Texas Right to Life money because they use that money to work against Abolish Abortion Texas. Give Abolish Abortion Texas money. Give us money. Give somebody somewhere who actually wants to abolish abortion money. Nothing wrong with that. But my goodness, giving money to pro-lifers is like giving money to Planned Parenthood.
Or who is actually like practically doing something that has a reasonable path to abolition. They don't have that.
Yeah.
They don't think they're ever going to get there.
Yeah.
Other than what they say this 4 years.
Yeah, but I love it that in the next 4 years, I would say in the next 4 years, even after passing these bills, we're going to see 200,000 babies butchered under the cover of pro-life laws in Texas.
Yep.
And in 4 years, they'll be celebrating something else unless we put an end to all this pro-life chicanery.
Right. And one last point on Texas before we move on to the next state with an abolition bill. One of the very promising things about Texas is that you have a large group of abolitionists who are able to get on the Republican legislative priorities list the abolition of abortion. And so abolishing abortion is the priority of the Republican Party of Texas. Now, the legislators don't have to listen to what the party grassroots is saying, but that is what the party grassroots has officially made their priority.
Yep.
Now, what we're seeing is the pro-life group. So Texas Right to Life, Texas Alliance for Life,
rename their stuff.
So there is a trigger bill. So one of those 12, or one of the bills that they're going to pass, either have passed or are just about to pass in Texas, is a trigger bill. So basically says if Roe v. Wade is overturned or there's a constitutional amendment to give states back their authority to outlaw abortion, then we will do so in Texas. They're actually saying, they're calling that an abolition bill. Mm-hmm. Like if you go to Texas Alliance for Life's Facebook page, they say, we passed the bill to abolish abortion. And so they're having to rebrand themselves as abolitionists because of the success of the abolitionists. And they're having to rebrand their bills as abolition bills.
Yeah,
which is so dishonest.
This is in line with the priorities.
Yeah.
It's called abolitionist because we're a bunch of freaking liars.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty gross stuff.
So you guys are wondering why I'm getting so mean in my old age. It's because I see this stuff day in and day out, and it's just painful because there's probably enough Christians in Texas that without these deceivers, they could get it done.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I know that's the case in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So on to Missouri, another state with an abolition bill. Senator Mike Moon put forward Senate Bill 391, and that bill was denied a committee vote by Senator Bob Onder. Now, he gave the bill a hearing, which, I guess is worth something. Abolitionists were able to make their voice heard, but then he would not bring the bill up for a vote, effectively killing the bill to abolish abortion in Missouri. Now, Onder explained himself on Facebook. Here's what he says. He says, "Dear friends, there seems to be a lot of confusion over SB 391, and I wanted to clarify my position to you all. I am sorry to say, however, that I cannot support SB 391 in its current form. I have worked tirelessly for the cause of life, and I was instrumental to the passage of the historic SB 5 in 2017 and HB 126, the heartbeat bill, in 2019. Right? So this the same strategy. They say, look at all these pro-life things I've done, and that's what they point to. That's what provides them the cover as they keep abortion legal. That's that never-ending stream of pro-life credibility they get.
This bill is currently dead, right? The heartbeat bill?
In Missouri?
Yeah.
I think it was passed and then struck down, so it's not it's not in effect.
It's not in effect.
So citing, I was instrumental in the passage of a bill that did nothing.
Yeah. They actually think they will say like passing these bills, even though they're enjoined and stuff. They will claim them as saving lives. It's really weird how dumb these people are.
Yep. And so he continues. He says the current bill, SB 391, would repeal all of the excellent pro-life laws passed over the last 40 years.
Which do nothing.
That have done so much. Russell, not nothing. They've done so much.
I'm sorry. They've done so much.
So much to protect unborn children and provide women with alternatives that enable them to choose life for their unborn child. This is such an annoying thing. We've talked about this severability point before. Yeah. But man, it's annoying every time it comes up. I
do like the fact that he admits their pro-choice laws. It enables women to choose life for their unborn child, which, or death.
Yeah.
They're not abolition bills.
Right. And so he's saying that because we're abolishing abortion, the fact that we're getting rid of all the old pro-life laws is this major problem.
Yeah.
And he'll go on.
When he goes on, what's funny is I'm seeing a lot of like weird factual claims about the number of abortions in Missouri.
They're absolutely false. Yeah.
They're crazy. It's like I'll know somebody who's like, I was at an abortion clinic in St. Louis the other day and I watched like 30 people get abortions. I don't know why they're saying that only 14 babies were aborted in the state. But yeah, in 1984, there were over 20,000 abortions in Missouri. In 2020, there were fewer than 40.
So I don't know if he's lying or he doesn't have the right numbers here, but that's absolutely false.
A lot of people are saying
40.
That.
There were not 40 abortions. There were 40 surgical abortions at Planned Parenthood.
At a
particular abortion facility. There were not 40 abortions in Missouri.
Yeah.
There were abortions performed at OBGYN offices and all these things, but Planned Parenthood by themselves only performed 40 surgical abortions. There were thousands of abortions in Missouri. And so he's got his numbers wrong there. He's all mixed up.
And it's weird, though. I mean, like, I do have to wonder, do they know they're lying, or do they think that this is true? Somehow, do they really believe that only 40 babies were aborted in 2020 in Missouri?
I don't know.
I don't think they can believe that.
Self-deception.
I just really do not. And so that means, I mean, we can't speak to his heart, but if he knows this is not true and he's saying this, I mean, this guy is a wicked, wicked son of a gun. Okay, he says in the late 1980s, there was about a dozen abortion clinics actively operating in Missouri. Now, the number of abortion clinics can change, you know. We've seen them get bigger and better and more state-of-the-art. And any doctor in any hospital can abort a baby in Missouri because the pro-lifers haven't told him he can't or she can't. Any mother can take any kind of abortifacient drug in Missouri because the legislators have not told her she can't.
Right. Closing facilities is not a good metric of success in abolishing abortion.
But it does allow them to prop up the charade.
Right.
So I don't know if we would need to read the rest of his statement or...
Yeah, I was want to skip to the next paragraph. He goes into our next culprit here. After the paragraph about abortion numbers going down.
Pride in himself, pride in his laws, now turning to the...
Missouri Right to Life, Missouri's oldest and most prominent pro-life organization, has prepared a memo analyzing the problems with SB 391, and then he puts their memo below. And it has all the same objections that we see here in Oklahoma about severability, about criminalizing the woman, and all this stuff that they really object to.
And it's all dishonest. It doesn't just say, hey, we can't support a bill that would give equal protection to preborn human beings. Yeah. They don't say that. They just say, we can't do this, and then they get all crafty with their language.
Yep. And Missouri Right to Life actually isn't the only group that are opposing it. There's another one, a group called Missouri Life Coalition. Now, there was a quote from their director at the hearing on SB 391 that I've kind of added to my collection of pro-life classics. Like these are the best encapsulations of just the idolatry and the foolishness of the pro-life movement. And this is just incredible what this guy says. So this is a hearing on the bill to abolish abortion in Missouri. And this guy, Samuel Lee, says, the bill in Section C and in another section asserts that various public officials would not have to comply with federal orders or other types of rulings, and I think that is problematic. Of course, this is a statutory measure, but our state constitution requires that you, speaking to the senators on the committee, you, along with the governor and lots of other people, take an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Missouri. So to put in statute that you don't have to comply with that, including complying with a federal court order, whether temporary or not, I think is problematic.
Yikes.
Right, so bad.
Sleight of hand. Crazy.
Yeah, he's conflating the Constitution itself with Roe v. Wade. He's saying Roe v. Wade is the Constitution. To disobey Roe v. Wade is to disregard the Constitution. It's just this totally warped view of the law.
And he kind of knows, like, I think he knows that he's doing that. That's why he says, including complying with a federal court order.
Yeah.
It's like he knows that it isn't strict per se, the Constitution.
Yeah, whether temporary or not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's I think we're beginning to see cracks in their facade. Like they are having to admit, yes, we are compliant with the court, as though the court is the Constitution, and all those abolitionists running around saying that we treat the court as though they're God are right. It's like they're starting to admit it.
Yeah.
So I like the fact, because it makes it easier for us to convert people. But I believe this guy was also one of these guys who was using William Wilberforce, or maybe it was Bononder, to justify killing a bill of abolition.
Right. Yep.
So all this stuff is, sometimes I feel bad because I want to say something like, oh, look, everything I was saying 10 years ago is all coming true, but I wish it weren't.
Yeah. But again, Missouri, it's another state. You got pro-life Republican holding every statewide office, pro-life Republican supermajority in both chambers. And so there are hardly any pro-choicers with any power in this state. And
so who's keeping abortion legal in Missouri? Bob Onder, Samuel Lee, Missouri Right to Life, and all of the people who could abolish it instead of what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So, let's get out of Missouri and on to Arizona.
So Arizona, HB 2650. It was denied a committee assignment by Speaker Rusty Bowers and Kathy Herod of the Center for Arizona Policy. was very supportive of the denial of that.
Yeah, and we've covered that when we had Jeff Durbin on the program. And I love the fact that Jeff Durbin, even whenever he's like speaking in like somewhere else, he's like, I'm here to speak on behalf of this bill in South Carolina, but I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes blasting Kathy Herod. I love it. And I love the fact that in God's providence, her name's Herod.
Yeah.
Because she is definitely a Herodian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so Arizona's it's an interesting state in that the speaker doesn't actually have to even assign the bill to a committee. And so there's not even a committee chair who we can say, hey, go call this guy. There actually is just the speaker who's saying, nope, this bill is not even going to be given to a committee chair. And so I guess we should put the phone number for Rusty Bowers up here, and we'll throw that on there and post his email and phone number. But yeah, not even given a hearing, and like Sam said, at the behest of Kathy Herod, who is the most prominent pro-life lobbyist in Arizona. And she said on Twitter on the day that our friends at Apologia were rallying to support this bill to abolish abortion, Kathy Herod tweets, I oppose any move to put the woman who seeks or has an abortion in prison. In the pro-life community, we love both the woman and her unborn child. Both are victims. And so because we have this false view that people who had their children murdered
or they have this
are
false
victims,
view.
Right? Because they have this view where where we're not going to support justice for preborn children.
And we've gone through that before, but
right.
I mean, it just bears, like some people, if you're still finding that sort of persuasive, just think about it, do someone, switch out something like child molesters.
Think about how insane you actually are to think that.
It's like, we've got a child pornography, child molestation problem. We need to do something about it. Let's protect the child molester because he or she's a victim too.
Yeah, he had a really hard upbringing. He was probably molested himself, and therefore he shouldn't face justice when he molests other children.
Yeah, or like just
you really got to
think
think women are very stupid.
Yeah,
like they just don't know. They have no idea what's going on inside their body, and
it's out of touch entirely with like what the actual pro-abortion people are doing and saying.
Yeah,
they're out there shouting it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Saying they know it's a living human being, but who cares?
Yeah.
And they don't act like they don't know. They act like they know full well.
Yeah. They get offended sometimes, I think. I think maybe the reason they're getting offended with pro-lifers is the pro-lifers are acting like they're a bunch of like people who don't know where babies come from.
Yeah.
It'd be very annoying. And so you've got this sort of backlash from the pro-choice establishment or whatever, where they're basically saying abortion is killing a baby and we're going to do it.
Yeah. The lunacy of it too is like the whole thing is to appeal to the pro-choice movement and try to get the people there sort of like have this sympathetic towards women type of mentality and look, we're compassionate, we're caring for these women. But they know they murdered a baby and they're not going to respond to your acceptance of them as a victim with anything other than, no, I know what I did.
Yeah.
Like, how could someone who knows what they did accept that narrative?
Yeah, or they've done it multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
You're just kind of like, okay, so you've got someone who's on their third abortion, and they're literally getting the abortion to cover up some kind of an affair or something. Mm-hmm. And, well, Kathy Herod's in her corner. And there's no bloodthirst or desire to like punish mothers. We're saying everyone and anyone. It's men, women, grandparents, friends, anyone involved in the murder of any human at any stage of development needs to be treated that way and go through regular criminal prosecutions.
Yeah.
There's nothing bloodthirsty or bad about that.
We usually focus on the women more because the pro-life movement usually regards only the woman as the victim. If there's a father who dragged a mother into an abortion clinic, then he's a dirtbag, and he's not a victim of the times.
Right.
Just the mother.
Abolition bills don't single anyone out for any specific penalty. It doesn't say this person shall receive this penalty. An abolition bill says preborn children shall receive the equal protection of the law, including laws against murder.
But pro-life leaders lie about abolition bills. So people think that they say that.
Yeah.
And so there's a certain sense where we have to we own up to what the bill is actually saying.
Yeah.
The law that says you can't murder him, and if you do, this is what happens, is going to apply even if he were a preborn baby. So we're thrilled to see that Arizona, like North Carolina this year, had bills. So
for the
it's
first
good
time.
to see more bills. Even if a bill's not being heard, just think of how much just filing the bill, because I don't know very much about the author there, and whether he's stand his ground or if he's buckled to the pro-life movement. Don't want to go into it, but that he filed the bill and that it was out there led to the exposure of Kathy Herod and what's going on there. So it's opened up eyes in Arizona. So it's very good that bill was filed.
And so Idaho, there's also stuff going on in Idaho. We've got H56, the Abortion Human Rights Act of Idaho, put forward by Heather Scott and co-authored by Ron Nate, who was a new co-author this year. So that's good to see. Again, Idaho, it's another state like Arizona, Texas, Missouri, Oklahoma, all these states. You got pro-lifers in control everywhere. It's the same story, and just about wherever there's an abolition bill, pro-lifers, supermajority, House and Senate, pro-life governor, pro-life attorney general. And so it is Idaho chooses life. It is Idaho right to life who are standing in the way of this bill passing. Now, you also have a guy named Brent Crane, who, as we covered this on our blog. So Scott Herndon is an abolitionist activist in the area, and he and his wife and his daughter had a meeting with this guy named Brent Crane. Mm-hmm. And basically, 2 minutes in, Brent Crane just loses his mind and starts screaming at him with all three, with a 10-year-old daughter there in the room, starts screaming at the whole family, saying, "I'm not going to hear your bill. I'm not going to hear your bill because you're opposing my garbage pro-life bill." He calls security on this whole family.
His words, too.
They said, "We'll leave."
My garbage pro-life bill.
He said, "You hear my garbage pro-life." That would be funny.
Yeah. And so just really ugly situation.
And not uncommon. Like, I think what's funny, we laugh about this, but it is really, really sad that these guys who probably are known as like champions for life, and they've they ran on these careers to save babies, they absolutely hate it that they get there and someone comes and says, "Hey, let's abolish abortion as murder."
Yep.
And for all their political connections or compromises and stuff, they can't get behind it. And it sort of wells up in them. I mean, I've been in offices where you're just like talking to some legislator about like whether they want to support an abolition bill, and they just freak out of nowhere. And I think it's just the pressure of they know the things that we're saying are true, and they like being celebrated as these, great for life heroes.
Yep.
And these bills provide them the opportunity to do what they say, and they don't do it, and they hate being, called hypocrites.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You don't even sometimes have to call them hypocrites. They just know it.
Yeah.
And it bubbles up and they freak out.
And their view of themselves is very dependent on the things they've done, their own personal righteousness. And when you threaten that, you're threatening their pride and their sense of self-worth and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I think the projection comes out. Like they will talk about all the great things they've done and how many lives they saved and how much better they are than you, and then they'll turn around and tell you that you're just real prideful.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
You must be proud if you can't see how great I am.
Yeah. It's like, hey, bro, I think you're dealing with some pride and you're projecting it on me right now. Yeah. But pretty standard. Again, great. Love the Herndons. Scott, Arlene, and family and cohorts there have been really involved in the abolitionist cause for almost a decade now. And I think that he really devotes himself and is doing good stuff. So
yep, and he's going to have some big announcements for his future and the Idaho Abolition future coming soon.
Yep.
So definitely keep tuned to future episodes of the podcast for that, and also to the Abortion Human Rights Act Idaho Facebook page, which is where he kind of updates on abolition.
Now,
stuff.
I am going to use the Liberator Podcast to be harsh as truth and as uncompromising as justice. Now, the title of the bill in Idaho is a bit clunky, and people might be confused as to like whether it's giving human rights to abortionists or something. It is an Abolition Act. It's a bill of total and immediate abolition. It's the Abolition of Abortion in Idaho Act. That's what I will call it personally. And I just don't want anyone, whenever you say the name of it, I don't want people to be confused as to what's going on there.
Also, Scott Herndon is now the new standard for beards for abolitionists.
He's got a very...
He's the beard bearer.
Although I think he's got a challenger.
Really?
In Joe Blystone.
Wow.
If Joe Blystone running for Ohio governor he could run on his beard alone.
I think his beard actually is the thing.
Well, he could run
on his campaign signs. It's his beard.
He could literally run on his beard alone. Like he's running and the beard is just getting in his legs and stuff.
He's tripping on his beard in his campaign axe.
Yeah.
You should shave that. No, it's my platform. I'm literally standing on it. But yeah, Joe, we're not going to, we'll talk, I'm sure we'll get to Joe Blystone at some point in time.
Yep.
But having an epic beard is just something that's pretty cool in our day and age. But we do love Scott Herndon. We look forward to having him on a future episode to talk about his continued work there in Idaho.
Yep.
So
one last quick point on Idaho. There is a third pro-life group there who they don't oppose the abolition of abortion in Idaho, but they're not supporting it, at least in their capacity as a pro-life organization, and that is Family Policy Alliance of Idaho. Now, I know the director, actually. It's a guy I used to work with when I was working for the Family Policy Institute of Washington. His name is Blaine Kanzati. He's a good guy. I think he's a brother in Christ who hates abortion. But he and Scott and some abolitionists there are really butting heads right now because Blaine isn't supporting the bill to abolish abortion. He put forward a heartbeat bill and a defunding bill this year that had a rape exception. Blaine's a guy I think there's a good chance that he will support abolition bill soon. I'm hopeful for him. I've corresponded with him a little bit over the years, since we used to work together. I know that he actually, when he took the job as the director, he wanted to support that bill. And then he goes out to the Focus on the Family HQ and they tell him, no, you cannot support that bill if you're going to be working for us. And
he may not be appreciating the fact that you'd bring that up, but I mean, we're just saying stuff that's just really clear. Blaine could be like Blake Gideon, an opponent of abolition who just sort of, grows in his knowledge, conviction, courage, whatever, and says, you know what? I didn't become the director of the Family Policy Alliance of Idaho to stand in the way of the establishment of justice for the preborn. And as soon as that clicks, the problem is, and this is why our work is so important, because it needs to be the case that these organizations can't continue to exist and fund and deceive people. It would be a lot easier for him to be upholding and supporting this bill were it not for all these other organizations around him saying, we'll run cover for you, and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know him. You know him. If he's a true believer and brother and the scripture is an authority, it's only a matter of time.
Yep.
So be in prayer for that organization, for Blaine, and for Idaho. It's going to be abolished soon. So
yeah. So
Potato State.
What's that?
The Great Potato State.
The Great Potato State's going to lead the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care who leads the way. I really do not care. But one of these states, all of these states have bills of abolition. All of these states have pockets of abolition supporters, abolitionists that have been active for a long time in some of them, and we are gaining ground. And this is one of these things where every once in a while someone will say, well, what kind of accomplishments have you had? Show me your fruit. It's every time we convert a pro-lifer to abolitionist, it's fruit. Because as soon as these people in these positions are no longer pro-life but abolitionist, we're going to see these bills move.
Yep.
And we're seeing good fruit. And so even though this whole podcast is basically covered who's keeping abortion legal in the United States of America, and we've named a lot of names, this is because of a lot of good work in a lot of states. So without going back and saying the names of all the good folks in all these states.
Right. And so this whole episode to say, right, the key to abolishing abortion is to see these 500 pro-life bills for what they are, and these 61 that have passed for what they are, and these pro-life politicians for what they are.
Yeah.
They're people who are trying to remain relevant in a state or in a country where the abolitionist movement is gaining ground and exposing them.
Yeah.
That's why you've got 12 pro-life bills passing in one day in Texas and 6 in Oklahoma.
The progress of the abolition movement is exactly why they're ramping up the pro-life bills now.
Yep.
So you can thank the abolitionist bills if you're actually a fan of pro-life bills.
Yeah. So it's got to be weird. Someone out there, it's man, I was fighting for a heartbeat bill forever and could not even get anyone to carry it. Well, abolition comes along and says, hey, let's abolish abortion as murder. And now all the pro-life legislators are like, give me some crap bill that doesn't abolish abortion that can be celebrated instead of that. Oh, heartbeat bill, which would expose it as something that you should never have been wanting in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think what the guys are saying is exactly, there's something good about all these pro-life bills passing, and it's not that they're saving lives. It's that it's like we're watching the death throes of the pro-life movement, because it's going to be so easy for us to say in a year, oh, yeah, you mean last year when you passed like 100 pro-life bills? Why do you have to pass 100 no more? Mm-hmm. Because they're pointless.
Yeah, David Bullard said last year that SB 1728 was going to save thousands of Oklahoma babies a year.
Yeah.
Right, so it was going to cut the abortion rate in half, basically, because 5,000 babies are murdered every year, and there's not any discernible decrease this year with SB 1728 on the books.
And he hated us with passion and spoke against us for saying, nuh-uh. Yeah. And guess what? They're killing babies all over the state of Oklahoma, and his bill is not doing a darn thing to protect those children. So that's why we speak about him and people like him the way that we do. Yep. Okay, so we're going to wrap up the episode. Again, we've got a lot of these things to say, and we need to do as good of a job as we can, and we need to come up with more and better ways, and that's where you guys come in. We are very appreciative of your financial support, and we would ask people to continue to give, maybe increase your giving as things across the country become more and more expensive. Yeah, which is kind of crazy out there. My wife was actually telling me, she's like, oh yeah, you're getting paid the same amount, but everything costs more. I'm like, dang it. And then we were saying, and then the people that fund Free the States, everything costs more for them. So trying times, and I'm just being sort of like blatantly open about this, but we've recently added another kind of staff member at Free the States, and we'd like to add more. Mm-hmm. And we'd like to boost more, and we'd like to do more. So be very much in thought and prayer about supporting us, subscribing. Again, you want to hold that piece of artwork up. Art is not, my art is not worth anything right now. But if we abolish abortion, it's going to be worth something. So for $25 a month, you have the opportunity to possibly win this piece of art, which in the future, owing primarily to the depreciation, the value of our currency, could be worth billions of dollars. Yeah. You get that pen and ink is going to be worth billions.
Yeah, or a lot in Dogecoin.
Yeah. 800 million Dogecoins when they become completely irrelevant.
When the Dogecoin drops to like negative, I don't know, not worth anything.
That's whatever. Thank you, Sam, for that. Yeah. We don't know if the work is going to be worth anything, but to us, it's worth something if it perpetuates abolitionism in the country. That's why I draw the stuff, and hopefully that's why you fund me to draw it. You love James's what do? You write blogs. Yeah. People read blogs still.
I'd give all my Dogecoin for that. Legit. I would.
Really? Mm-hmm. I'll take it. Never mind. That one's not.
It's already committed.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you.
It's like, is Dogecoin like this right now or like this? Yeah. So now's the time. I'll sell you an early draft. Mm-hmm. But no, back in serious. That's going on. Also, we do want to remind people of the Free the State store. Members get a discount in the store. What is our discount? 15%?
15%.
Yep. And so that makes stuff pretty darn affordable. There, we've got drop carts, T-shirts, stickers, signs, and hopefully some new stuff coming soon. So yeah, become a member, become active. Please like this program, share this program, use all the buttons and send things around. We're trying to get our information out there, and you can help us a lot more than we can help ourselves when it comes to that.
Yep. We got some good episodes coming out soon. We've got we're gonna have an update on what's going on in Northern Ireland. Some abolitionists there doing some exciting stuff.
Yeah,
so we're
because nothing says free the states like abolitionism in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Free the island. Free the West Northern Ireland.
I love it that like I'm watching like some Liberator podcast episode and there's like comments from people from Northern Ireland. It's like regular viewers in Northern Ireland.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry for the offensive fake Irish accents that have been heard on the show before.
Yeah.
I still hear our Irish friends mention that.
Yeah. We can't help it, but we'll try not to do it.
Do you remember that time that Russell gave that horrible, terrible Irish accent?
Wait, it was like he was like channeling the Lucky Charms character or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's great. And what's funny is the reason they listen to the Liberator podcast in Ireland isn't because of dealing with pro-choicers, but with pro-lifers.
Yep.
How do we deal with the fact that the pro-life establishment is in our country trying to make parents who murder their babies victims?
Well, they sent their heavy hitters over to Ireland to help them with their situation, and it's just so ridiculous. Like a bunch of Americans that haven't done anything, that have been responsible for like the influence of the whole movement. They haven't done anything to abolish abortion. Now they're going to go tell Northern Ireland people how to abolish abortion.
Oh yeah, it's astounding. Like, hey, in Northern Ireland, we would love somebody from the United States of America where they've done such a good job with their Holocaust to come tell us how to fight it here. Yeah. But it's because of the way the pro-life movement presents themselves.
Yeah.
Like you have to be absolutely insane to like have someone from like the National Right to Life come to your country to instruct you how to deal with abortion.
So something to look forward to. Northern Ireland, we're going to talk about that. And then what else do we have coming up, James?
Yeah, some other good interviews. I don't know if we want to put anything hard on the calendar other than the Northern Ireland guys, but yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have Elon Musk on to talk about Dogecoin.
Elon Musk, Kanye West.
Yeah, Kanye West to talk about nothing. Much love. Yeah, we're just going to like let Kanye West, just have Kanye West on to see if he will out-talk me.
Yeah.
Because I think he's one of the people on the planet that definitely
just for the
will.
thumbnail, really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Kanye West was on the Liberator.
Yeah, maybe one of these days. So thank you for tuning in, and tune in again. We work very hard to make sure that this is always on every Thursday night, even when we don't want to film an episode.
Yeah,
we will do it for you.
All right.
Weird way to end.
See ya.
See ya.